Hello, kids. Welcome to the Fearless Floyd Show. As always, I am your gracious host, Fearless Floyd. And I want to thank you for clicking on this video and watching it. If you've subscribed to my channel, thank you very much. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you're just watching it and passing it through, thank you as well to you too. Hit that like button, okay? Because when you hit that like button, it sets an algorithm in YouTube so people of like mind, this video will pop up in their thread, and that way they can get turned on to this information just like you're interested in it, and hopefully more people will understand what's really going on. Hit that notification bell so when I put out a new video you get notified, and always subscribe to my channel if you like my content and you like what I'm doing. Leave a comment below. I'll try to answer all of them. If you want to reach me, it's TheFearlessFloydShow at yahoo.com. I try to answer each and every email. I get booked, I get tied up. I did a 5-hour Zoom today. I just got on and hooked up with my boy A6 Grind Time on his little live stream on Sunday nights on YouTube. So for you guys that don't have anything to do on Sunday nights, A6 Grind Time. I believe he comes on at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. You might want to check that. So look him up, man. He's always got some good info. Give him a shout out to Big Bad Wolf, James C. Lovett as well. I want y'all to check out the Good Lion films, Nick Alvear and Donut. Those are some really cool guys. I like their stuff. And I like to pump up Nick. I'm going to do a guest either on his shit or, sorry, on my stuff. I'm trying to keep my language clean too. So anyway, as you've seen from the title of this video, and I encourage each and every one of you to go down and read the description of what this video is about. You don't have to read all the other stuff. If you've read it once, you've read it 1,000 times. Read the description, what I'm going to touch upon. This video is the real story of human bio-nanotechnology. And as far as I know, no one is touching on this subject. And I take it even a step further and I introduce everybody to Pico technology, which I've already done a video on, and Femto technology. Those two technologies, in my lifetime, I've only heard one other person mention either one of Pico or Femto technology. And that was James Rink on Super Soldier Talk, who, if you are familiar with him, and I highly recommend you watch his stuff. He's on Rumble, occasionally on YouTube when he'll put up a video and take it down or it gets banned and he gets a strike. He mentioned Femto technology. That's the only time I've ever heard anybody else use it. We're going to get into what those two technologies are, but just to start you off, they are futuristic, hypothetical, non-existent technologies. Okay, I'm going to prove that wrong because I'm Fearless Floyd. So basically, that's what the video is about. I'm going to walk you through some other videos that are published on YouTube. I'm going to take you to some websites. I'm going to explain some stuff to you. I'm going to show you what's going on, what the technology was in the past, like over 10 years ago, what they were predicting it would be in the future, and what it is up until yesterday. So I'm going to take you over a decade worth of historical facts and information so you can understand how far nanotechnology has come and how it's utilized in the real world today. Okay, and with that, let's get this show on the road, as they say, and hopefully I'll have better luck because this is my second time to shoot this video. I used StreamYard, didn't work. Very dissatisfied with the entire outcome of the video. So I went back to my Zoom. So we're going to see if I can get it to work on Zoom. So here we go. Please bear with me. And please, I don't want to do another hour and a half show and have it be unsatisfactory. So let me Let me get all my cues set up of where I'm going to start and how I'm going to start. Actually, let's kill that. There we go. All right, kids. And hopefully this will come through all right. Pump up the volume. And here we go.
Have you ever really put enough electrodes into the brain to understand these signals in a meaningful way?
In your time, no. In my time, yes. Then how many electrodes would you have to stick into your brain, though?
None. Surely you're joking.
You go in from the inside.
I saw the possibility occurred to me, actually, that it would be very intriguing to use the holes that are already present in the brain to get to the brain without actually having to go through the skull.
Rodolfo Linas is really one of the giants of neuroscience. I have friends that actually are neuroscientists, and when they heard that I was working with Rodolfo, they couldn't believe it actually. They said, wow, how is that possible?
And the holes that I'm talking about are the holes produced by the fact that the brain has vessels, which basically bring oxygen to the brain, may be used as pathways to the brain.
Essentially, we are going to make wires that are smaller than the diameter of blood cells. And we're going to thread them up through the vascular system from catheters that have been inserted in your leg, all the way up into their brain, into the smallest capillaries, smallest blood vessels there, where the electrodes can be very close to the nerve cells in your brain without requiring major surgery to open your skull up and shove the electrodes into the surface.
And if you can pull that off, then that's going to open up a tremendous wealth of knowledge about the brain and a tremendous ability to alter our brains in various ways. And that's incredibly exciting.
Rodolfo Linas actually approached our group to help him create a technology that will allow him to navigate the wires through the intricacies of the brain. The engineering requirements are actually quite dramatic.
Within a week, I had already produced some preliminary wires for the neural experiments, so we moved very quickly once it started.
Well, I think there was a lot of excitement because for the first time there was a way to access the brain without never touching it. And the brain being such a vital organ, it's quite understandable you want to leave it alone.
So the technology is there. Now the question would be, yes, but can you actually put nanowires exactly at the place you want? The answer is no, you can't. But nanowires are very small.
So 500 nanometer is very small. If you think of it, that's about 100 times less than the thickness of your hair. How do you push the electrode to the brain?
So what you do is you actually send a certain number of a bundle, and then the bundle would be, the nanowires would be allowed to float into the bloodstream until they can go no further. At the moment, we can wire right. We can leave the electrodes in the spinal cord. We want to know, if we do so, how long the wires continue to work properly. We're talking about 5 years worth of very basic research that needs to be done. It's interesting because it would be almost a perfect way to implement something known as man-machine interface. If you can stimulate the brain, you can stimulate vision, you can stimulate the auditory cortex, you can stimulate movement, you can stimulate passions, you can stimulate desires, you can basically address the brain directly.
Well, I think the idea as a whole sounds very science fiction-like. That idea also being so simple captured people's imagination. They could see and imagine that such a technology indeed could be realized.
If you want to really project and say, would it be possible to feel that you're in a beach and brain stimulation? The answer is, well, in principle, it could be done. What else can you do? Well, you can, of course, in principle, communicate with another person directly. Not only just your thoughts, but in principle, your feelings. So you can get very close to somebody. You can get into their minds, and vice versa. Now, the implications of that are pretty obvious. It may be a mutual situation, or it may be a one direction. Somebody gets into your brain, your mind.
The National Security Agency, the NSA, visited us, and these guys they sort of have a mystique being members of the intelligence community. The people who came are very smart. They're dressed in suits that cost more than I make in a year. I think some of their interest is potentially sinister.
So, pure fantasy. You could imagine a group of people doing a job in the military, becoming continuously aware of their existence and what they're doing. So suddenly you have not a human, but a group of people that behave as a single entity. You could call this something like a wolf pack. You would have a collective consciousness, a collective understanding. You would be basically a rather strange new device. This happened before in evolution, by the way. We used to be single-cell organisms, and now we are groups of single-cell organisms, as animals.
We'll be able to do things that we can't even imagine right now in so little time that one person could do the work of 20. But at the same time, there are other concerns. If we're able to interface directly with the brain this way, what's to say that the device you're using isn't reading your mind or controlling it? So I think there's a delicate balance that has to be made between how much any device that we connect to the brain is there to help us and how much it's there to monitor or control us. We should be controlling things. Things should not be controlling us.
Now, is this to be done? Should it be done? Can it be done? Well, something like that probably could be done. The upside, of course, is if you can understand, if you can feel like other persons feel, the possibility is that you would understand better. So we could, in fact, become much better human beings because one thing that we lack often is the ability to put oneself in other people's shoes. The downside is, of course, very clear. You begin to lose your individuality. You will be evolving into a rather different social entity. At the moment we negotiate, at the moment our relations are mostly saying what we want other people to hear. We think other people. And we, of course, hide many aspects of what we're thinking. That's, in fact, the basis for politics, the basis for negotiations of any type. It is, therefore, very important for some people not to be totally transparent.
I think that's going to be a big change in the way we interact with reality.
The idea of being able to wire people's brains together in this way to give us the ability to directly beam our thoughts to one another sounds like science fiction. It really does. But basically right now we have proof of concept of a number of these things. I mean, man-machine interface obviously is one of the things that is going to happen. Absolutely.
And that concludes the first video. So let me go get set up for the second video. And here we go.
Another video tutorial. Today's topic is nanotechnology in neuroscience. We know that nanomedicine is a field in which nanotechnology advances are used to treat health and medical conditions. Nanotechnology has a number of uses in the central nervous system, including new ways to diagnose neural illnesses, novel drug delivery strategies, and novel ways to regenerate central nervous system tissues. In this section, I will discuss the principles of nanoparticle delivery and targeting, and the in vivo and ex vivo applications of nanoscale materials. Understanding the different types of nanoscale devices is essential for understanding their unique properties, benefits, and limitations. I have already explained the fundamentals of nanotechnology. If you're new to this channel, please check the link in the description box. Different kinds of nanoparticles are used for diagnosis and therapy for various diseases, including gold-based nanoparticles, liposomes, quantum dots, etc. Principles of nanoparticle delivery and targeting biodistribution. A major issue of uses of nanoparticles is delivery to sites of interest and avoidance of unintended targets. However, when administered via intravenous injection, nanoparticles also face a major impediment that is now encountered with approved drugs and contrast agents, that is, the high likelihood of sequestration by the reticuloendothelial system. Another problem occurred during intravenous infusion of nanoparticles intended for delivery to the brain is the inability of the nanoparticles to cross the blood-brain barrier. This barrier keeps out lipophilic molecules as well as polar or ionized water-soluble molecules. As a result, nanoparticle delivery may be limited to brain regions where the blood-brain barrier is disrupted in many cases. However, in some cases, nanoparticles have been shown to cross not only into areas of the brain where the blood-brain barrier was altered, but also into areas where the blood-brain barrier was intact. To increase nanoparticle transport across an intact blood-brain barrier, a number of approaches have been developed. The poly-butylcyanoacrylate nanoparticle, for example, is coated with polysorbate 80 and adsorbs A polypoproteins B and E on that basis. As a result, brain capillary endothelial cells enhance transport via receptor-mediated endocytosis. Nanoparticles targeting. Nanoparticles have the advantage of being able to be directed against specific molecular targets, which means they can provide a more sensitive and specific diagnostic of diseased tissue. This property is generally enabled by attaching a molecule to the nanoparticle surface that has an affinity for a feature on the entity being investigated or treated. This property may make it possible to put nanoparticles in certain tissues. Neuroengineering, re-engineering brain and spine tissue is one of the more exciting possibilities offered by nanotechnology when applied to the central nervous system. Nanoparticles have the potential to transport components required for tissue regeneration and repair while also directing the healing process. In neurosurgical practice, traumatic peripheral nerve injuries are often treated. The rate at which peripheral nerves spontaneously regenerate is slow, and it can result in a variety of negative consequences, including decreased nerve conduction and the creation of aberrant conduction pathways. Surgical repair is also frequently challenging. In severe nerve transections, the two nerve stumps may be widely separated, requiring the use of a nerve graft. Nanomaterial-based conduits could be a viable alternative for nerve healing. One of these conduits is made of chitosan, a polymer that is comparable to glycosaminoglycans in nature and makes the graft biodegradable. The inclusion of gold nanoparticles reinforces the chitosan's rather high mechanical strength. The conduits are seeded with neural stem cells to help with the healing process, and the inner surface of the conduit is grooved to help the stem cells orient their growth along the graft's long axis. Neural circuit. Carbon nanotubes have the ability to monitor neural activity as well as emit electrical stimulation, which is one of its most intriguing properties. As a result, they have the potential to act as neuronal interfaces. Researchers have employed such nanoparticles to promote and direct the proliferation and shape of neurons following central nervous system injury. As one example, the surface of nanotubes can be chemically modified to stimulate neuronal regeneration. Furthermore, such nanotubes can be inserted into neural cell cultures. After establishing neuron-carbon nanotube electrical interaction, these nanoparticles may give a way to better understand the intricacies of neuronal circuits through chemical or pharmaceutical regulation. Thank you for watching this video tutorial. If you like this tutorial, please share with your friends and colleagues. Thank you.
I know that's a little rough to listen to and got technical pretty quick. But anyway, I wanted you to hear that because that pretty much streamlines a lot of it. But this next video that you're going to see, um, yeah, probably pop your eyes out of your head. So let me get queued up, not to be confused with barbecue.
What does it mean to be?
Oh God, that guy there. There we go. I'll just talk. I've got him muted. There we go. Unmute, and we should be ready to go. Well, I got all the way down there. All right, here we go. I'm not sharing my screen, am I? I almost messed up. Boy, I'd have been mad if I'd have messed that up. You'd have heard me cussing up a storm. I'd have had to make a whole new video. I'd been cussing so bad. Absolutely. So here you go. This is actually a TED Talk. This is the guy right here, George Talevsky. We're going to play it right now.
Let's imagine a sculptor building a statue, just chipping away with his chisel. Michelangelo had this elegant way of describing it when he said, every block of stone has a statue inside of it, and it's the task of the sculptor to discover it. But what if he worked in the opposite direction? Not from a solid block of stone, from a pile of dust, somehow gluing millions of these particles together to form a statue. I know that's an absurd notion. It's probably impossible. The only way you get a statue from a pile of dust is if the statue built itself. If somehow we could compel millions of these particles to come together to form the statue. As odd as that sounds, that is like almost exactly the problem I work on in my lab. I don't build with stone, I build with nanomaterials. They're these just impossibly small, fascinating little objects. They're so small that if this controller was a nanoparticle, a human hair would be the size of this entire room. And they're at the heart of a field we call nanotechnology, which I'm sure we've all heard about. We've all heard how it is going to change everything. You know, when I was a graduate student, it was one of the most exciting times to be working in nanotechnology. There were scientific breakthroughs happening all of the time. The conferences were buzzing. There was tons of money pouring in from funding agencies. And the reason is, when objects get really small, they're governed by a different set of physics that govern ordinary objects, like the ones we interact with. We call this physics quantum mechanics. But what it tells you is that you can precisely tune their behavior just by making seemingly small changes to them, like adding or removing a handful of atoms or twisting the material. It's like
I want you to notice that he said atoms. Okay, so he's admitted right there that he's working in the pico scale, pico technology, which is the atomic level. And below that would be the subatomic level, which would be femto technology. So pay attention, kids, because he's spilling it out without actually saying it. What I'm doing is telling you what he's saying.
this ultimate toolkit. You really felt empowered. You felt like you could make anything. And we were doing it. And by we, I mean, my whole generation of graduate students. We were trying to make blazing fast computers using nanomaterials. We were constructing quantum dots that could one day go in your body and find and fight disease. There were even groups trying to make an elevator to space using carbon nanotubes. You can look that up, it's true. Anyways, we thought it was going to affect all parts of science and technology, from computing to medicine. And I have to admit, I drank all of the Kool-Aid. I mean, every last drop. That was like 15 years ago. And so fantastic science was done, really important work. We've learned a lot. We were never able to translate that science And the reason is these nanomaterials, they're like a double-edged sword. The same thing that makes them so interesting, their small size, also makes them like impossible to work with. It's literally like trying to build a statue out of a pile of dust. And we just don't have the tools that are small enough to work with them. But even if we did, it wouldn't really matter because we couldn't one by one place millions of particles together to build a technology. So because of that, all of the promise and all of the excitement has remained just that, promise and excitement. We don't have any disease-fighting nanobots, there's no elevators to space, and the thing that I'm most interested in, no new types of computing. And that last one, that's a really important one. We just have come to expect the pace of computing advancements to go on indefinitely. We built entire economies on this idea. And this pace exists because of our ability to pack more and more devices onto a computer chip. And as those devices get smaller, they get faster, they consume less power, and they get cheaper. And it's this convergence that gives us this incredible pace. As an example, if I took the room-sized computer that sent 3 men to the moon and back, and somehow compressed it, okay? Compressed like the world's greatest computer of its day, so it's the same size as your smartphone. Your actual smartphone, that thing you spend $300 on and just toss out every 2 years, would blow this thing away. Like, you would not be impressed. It couldn't do anything that your smartphone does. It would be slow. You couldn't put any of your stuff on it. You could possibly get through like the first 2 minutes of a Walking Dead episode if you're lucky. The point is, the progress is not gradual. The progress is relentless. It's exponential. It compounds on itself year after year, to the point where if you compare a technology from one generation to the next, they're like almost unrecognizable. And we owe it to ourselves to keep this progress going. We want to say the same thing 10, 20, 30 years from now. So look what we've done over the last 30 years. Yet we know this progress may not last forever. In fact, the party's kind of winding down. It's like last call for alcohol, right? If you look under the covers, by many metrics, like speed and performance, the progress has already slowed to a halt. So if we want to keep this party going, we have to do what we've always been able to do, and that is to innovate. So our group's mission is to innovate by employing carbon nanotubes, because we think that they can provide a path to continue this pace. They are just like they sound. They're tiny, hollow tubes of carbon atoms, and their nanoscale size, that small size, gives rise to these just outstanding electronic properties. And the science tells us if we can employ them in computing, we can see up to a 10 times improvement in performance. It's like skipping through several technology generations in just one step. So here we have it. We have like this really important problem, and we have what is basically the ideal solution. The science is like screaming at us, like this is what you should be doing to solve your problem. But so it's like, all right, let's get started, let's do this. But then you just run right back into that double-edged sword. This ideal solution contains a material that's like impossible to work with. I'd have to arrange billions of them just to make one single computer chip. It's that same conundrum. It's like this undying problem. So at this point, you said, let's just stop. Let's not go down that same road. Let's just figure out like what's missing. Right? What are we not dealing with? What are we not doing that needs to be done? It's like in The Godfather, right? When Fredo betrays his brother Michael, like we don't know what needs to be done. I mean, Fredo's gotta go. But Michael, he puts it off. And like, fine, I get it. Their mother's still alive. It would make her upset. But we just said, like, what's the Fredo in our problem? Like, what are we not dealing with? What are we not doing but needs to be done to make this a success? And the answer is that the statue has to build itself. We have to find a way somehow to compel, to convince millions of these particles to assemble themselves into the technology. And we can't do it for them. They have to do it for themselves. And it's the hard way, and this is not trivial, but in this case, it's the only way. Now, as it turns out, this is not that alien of a problem. Okay? We just don't build anything this way. Right? People don't build anything this way. But if you look around, and there's examples everywhere, Mother Nature builds everything this way. Everything is built from the bottom up. Right? You can go to the beach, you'll find these simple organisms that use proteins, just basically molecules. This template was essentially sand, just plucking it from the sea and building these extraordinary architectures with extreme diversity. And nature's not crude like us, just hacking away. I mean, she's elegant and smart, building with what's available, molecule by molecule, making structures with a complexity complexity and a diversity that we can't even approach. And she's already at the Nano. She's been there for hundreds of millions of years. You know, we're the ones that are late to the party. We're going to use the same tool that nature uses, and that's chemistry. Chemistry is the missing tool, and chemistry works in this case because these nanoscale objects are about the same size as molecules, so we can use them to steer these objects around, much like a tool. That's exactly what we've done in our lab. We've developed chemistry that goes into the pile of dust, into the pile of nanoparticles, and pulls out exactly the ones we need. And we can use chemistry to arrange literally billions of these particles into the pattern we need to build circuits. And because we can do that, we can build circuits that are many times faster than what anyone's been able to make using nanomaterials before. Chemistry is a missing tool, and every day our tool gets sharper and gets more precise. And eventually, we hope this is within a handful of years, we can deliver on one of those original promises. Now, computing is just one example. It's the one that I'm interested in, that my group is really vested in, but there are others in renewable energy, in medicine, in structural materials, where the science is going to tell you to move towards the nano. That's where the biggest benefit is. But if we're going to do that, the scientists of today and tomorrow are going to need new tools, tools just like the ones I described. And the beauty of science, and they're going to need chemistry. That's the point. They will need chemistry. And the beauty of science is that once you develop these new tools, they're out there. I mean, they're out there forever, and anyone, anywhere can pick them up and use them, and help to deliver on the promise of nanotechnology. So thank you so much for your time.
And there you go. Pretty enlightening, huh? And that video was from, that was January 31st, 2017. Let me share my screen so, oops, so you can see it. Here it is. Next Step Nanotechnology. So that was 4 years ago. Actually 5 now. Almost to the day. And this was before the current pandemic. So just kind of put you where we are in the historical timeline. All right, let me get my next barbecue scheduled, set up. And I told y'all with Zoom, I don't like jumping.
My name is Ariel.
Tab to
I
tab.
just started my first.
Because sometimes it doesn't get what y'all want. Now this next video, gotta give a thumbs up. A couple homeboys. Actually, they're not really homeboys, but they're from Rice University here in Houston, Texas. And they are brothers. And I'll go ahead and tell you now. One of them was going to Rice. The other one was still in high school in New York. And his brother was, this research, I guess, scientist. And needs some help. Called his little brother. Brother came down here. Boom, they hooked up. And they did this video and created this type of technology. And now the little brother who was in New York is now at MIT. A couple smarty pants. But that's okay. Good boys. Hopefully they can do the right thing. So let me get to their video. Pop this open. Oh, let me close it real quick. This is from January 19th, 2022. Okay, and it may be true that seeing is believing, but sometimes hearing can be better. Case in point, two brothers in a Rice University laboratory heard something unusual while making graphene. Ultimately, they determined the sound itself could give them valuable data about the product. And there's a link to the project. And like I said, this was 4 days ago. I'm keeping you up to date, current technology. So this isn't anything that's old, or this is brand spanking new. All right, kids, here we go.
laser-induced graphene is made specifically by shining a laser on either plastic or basically any type of thing that has carbon in it, like food. And what it creates is this fibery, sort of spongy material of graphene sheets that are all wrapped up together. Graphene has a lot of unique properties, especially for a substance that's so light. Because it's only made of carbon, there's no extra metals or anything in it. It actually is very low density, given especially all the things it can do. There's very high conductivity. It also conducts heat very well. It's also extremely strong. The method that we're actually using with the universal laser system behind me is a really new method that promises to reduce the cost of creating graphene significantly. What this paper was seeking to do was to have a way for us to demonstrate the quality of the graphene we're creating just based on the sound that it makes as it's being made.
You heard the sounds, right? My brother and I were working in Dr. Ford's lab, but I made the connection that the right sounds lead to the right product. He made the connection that different sounds lead to different products. The sharp pitch sounds actually, like, those are from the local sniff detonation. And what that basically does is that allows you to probe what's happening locally where the laser is advancing. This technique currently for laser-induced graphene can increase our ability to do quality control and analysis and direct characterization by orders of magnitude. This really opens up a very large number of avenues for us to be able to really just know material properties from just something as simple as hearing what is going on. What does it mean to be a featherless?
From Cornell West. God bless his heart. Still kicking. Still kicking. All right. Sorry about that. Had to get something together. Let me cue up the next stuff. All right. We can move right along. And of course, I told you about Femto Technology. This is on the subatomic level, and this is Wikipedia. So let's, and I've addressed this before in some previous videos, but we're going to go over it again because I want this, I want this terminology to stick in your head. So next time you hear it, you'll snap. You go, "Oh my God! Wow, where have I heard that? Oh, Fearless Floyd was telling us about that, wasn't he? Golly, that guy was on the spot." Yeah, I'm on the spot. Femto technology is a hypothetical term used in reference to structuring of matter on the scale of a femtometer, which is 10 to the minus 15th. And this is a smaller scale in comparison with nanotechnology and picotechnology, which refer to the 10 to the 9th, 10 to the 12th, respectively. Okay? So if you remember in the video before this last one, the gentleman had the remote control in his hand, which wasn't any bigger than my cell phone. And that would have been on the nanoscale. And the entire auditorium where he was speaking was a human hair. So pluck out that hair, put it in your hand, and then think about what a remote control would look like next to that if the remote control was a nanoparticle or a nanotube or a nanothread, which, by the way, is stronger than steel, correct? You can see the size differentiation. So with a remote control, okay, and a human hair, imagine what pico technology looks like and femto technology, okay? So this is theoretical. Okay, they put it in science fiction. Okay, because it doesn't exist. Okay, I'm sorry. Femto technology does not exist because it's hypothetical and theoretical. Okay, so let me cue up the next one. I'm just. This is Pico technology. This is Wikipedia, as again. The term Pico technology is a portmanteau of picometer and technology. That means it's a combination of the two. Intended to parallel the term nanotechnology. Okay, intended to parallel, but it doesn't quite parallel because nanotechnology is on the molecular level. Pico technology is on the atomic level. Femto technology is on the subatomic level. So it doesn't quite parallel nanotechnology, except in the course of its technological value, not its size or scale. It is a hypothetical, future level technological manipulation of matter on the scale of trillionths of a meter or picoscale. This is 3 orders of magnitude smaller than a nanometer, and thus most nanotechnology, and 2 orders of magnitude smaller than most chemistry transformations and measurements. Pico technology would involve the manipulation of matter at the atomic level. A further hypothetical development, femto technology, would involve working with matter at the subatomic level. An atom is the smallest unit of ordinary matter that forms a chemical element. Every solid, liquid, gas, and plasma is composed of neutral or ionized atoms. Atoms are extremely small, typically around 100 picometers across. They're so small that accurately predicting I believe it's their size is probably not not feasible. Okay, so what do we have here? Hypothetical development, femto technology, right? It's a hypothetical term used in reference to structuring matter on the scale of a femtometer, right? Pico technology is a hypothetical future level of technological manipulation of matter, right? Okay. So pico is on the what? Atomic level. Okay, right there. Femto technology, subatomic level, correct? So yeah, let me yeah, nanotechnology. Beneath that, which is smaller, you have pico technology, and then below that, you got femto technology, right? So, yeah, molecular, atomic, subatomic. And the lower two underneath nanotechnology do not exist. They are hypothetical, futuristic, theoretical technologies, correct? Asking. Let me get my cue ready. I'm ready to flip that steak. Okay, here we go, kids. Y'all need to put your seatbelt on. Yeah, if you get in the car, Fearless Floyd, put your seatbelt on. Buckle up. What the hell is that? Fearless? Well, kids, this is a United States patent for femto technology, which is the subatomic level, that theoretically doesn't exist. It's a futuristic technology. You can see this patent was granted. This is not a patent pending. This is a patent. It was granted May 4th, 2021 to Mr. Donald R. Wilsh Jr. And over here's his email. Over here's his 800 number. And this is his cell phone number. This is his address. And Da, 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 da. I'll put him under here. I didn't store his contact. Anyway, I have called him several times. And put his number 336 306. Oh, I did that with my other phone. That's right. I lost all that. That's why he's not in here. That's what happens when your phone crashes. You lose a bunch of information. Anyway, I have personally spoken to Mr. Wilsh on several occasions, have tons of emails from him. Basically, he bombarded me with patents and websites and studies and all kind of stuff. Uh, so this is Femto Technology. Here's the patent number. Here's the date it was done. To give you a little history on Mr. Wilsh, he is a high school graduate, never once went to college. He has been using Femto technology for 2 decades, kids, 20 years. Okay, never been to college. What that tells me is if somebody who graduated from high school never went and took a college course on biology, bioscience, agriculture, anything like that, and I don't know if he created Femto technology or if he just found it and started using it and figured out what it was. Whatever, he has the patent. So 20 years ago, he started using it or created it, which tells me that big pharma, military industrial complex, all those things, they've had it for at least 20, 30, 40, 50, even longer years. Okay? So, when they release something to the public, they've already had it. It's been out. They're just now letting us ignorant sheeple see what's going on. All right, so we're going to stop that share. Get that off there. And let's see what we got up next in the queue, Fearless. Yeah, let me jump over here. And okay. All right. Now, cooking. I should have just went there to begin with. Okay. Back on Wikipedia. And this is Colonel Philip J. Corso, retired. He was an American Army officer, right there. Okay. He served in the Army from February 23rd, 1942 to March 1st, 1963, and earned the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. Corso published the book The Day After Roswell, which I have read multiple times, about his alleged involvement in the research of ET recovered from the Roswell incident. Okay, here's a picture of him. That's actually on the rear cover of the book, on the paperback. I had the paperback. And this goes into his military career. Of course, he's in Army intelligence in Europe and came back, and he actually was assigned to see if it has it in here. There it is. Okay. 61, he became chief of the Pentagon's Foreign Technology Desk at the Army in Army Research and Development, working under Lieutenant General Arthur Trudeau. Okay. What his job was, according to the book, they had a file cabinet. And I don't know if it's a 3 drawer, 2 drawer, 3 drawer, or 4 drawer file cabinet. So we're looking back in, the 50s, 60s. So I imagine it's probably one of those old steel 4 door, 4 drawer file cabinets that had a lock on it. And every so often, old Arthur here would call him into his office, and he'd have something sitting on his desk that he had pulled out of that file cabinet. And of course, they didn't know what it was, had no clue. It was parts of, and they didn't know what it was. They didn't know how valuable it was. What they do is they would take this part, and Arthur would give it to Philip. Philip would look at it and go, "Well, what are you going to do with it, Arthur? Why don't you take it to Bell Labs R&D, see what they can do with it, or take it to Stanford University R&D, see what they can do with it, or take it to Penn State University R&D." And the whole purpose was give it to R&D. R&D would get it and go like, "What is it? I don't know. What does it do? I don't know. How's it work? I don't know. Why are you giving it to us? I'd like you to figure out what it is and what it does. Like, that whole reverse engineering thing. Oh, okay. Well, what do you want us to do when we'll figure it out? Give me a call, and then we'll make a decision then if you can figure out what it does and how it works. So by utilizing this process, according to the book, this is how we got the microwave oven, laser technology, the silicone chip for computing, among other technologies. My theory, my theory, this is why in the 50s we became so technologically advanced that we jumped just from 1900 to 1950. Most places didn't even have air conditioning, barely had, you know, hardly, very few people had color TVs, if at all. And then from 1950 to 2000, we went from having a room full of Cray computers to compute the moon landing to having one of these that would smoke that room full of Cray computers. That's how far technology has jumped. Although these weren't available, but we did have cell phones. So the technology advanced, and actually in 2000, you could go buy a laptop like I'm using right now, as opposed to having a room full of Cray computers that probably did the same amount of processing, data storage, and have random access memory. So that's how that worked. So the whole point and premises of that is there are things that happen in that closed off, compartmentalized area of big pharma, military industrial complex, the government, big agriculture, so on and so forth. They have technologies. We don't know about them. They've had them for a long time. And eventually it gets leaked out or they just release it publicly or whatever. So this is what I'm trying to tell you is if this guy, Donald Wilsh in Florida, has had Femto Technology for 2 decades. Actually has a patent on something that doesn't exist. Just, use your own mind, figure that out. All right. Let's queue up the next thing. Thank you, Philip, for that information. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your service. And by the way, he has passed away. His son is living the legacy. And I'm going to have to read this for the 3rd time. Okay, because I read it once, and then I had to read it for a video that got messed up. Now I got to read it again. So I'm going to read it again for you. Yeah, I know. There we go. All right. This is DARPA. DARPA.mil. That stands for military. DARPA is the acronym for Defense Advanced Research Project Agency. Everybody knows them as DARPA, so fondly called. And this is DARPA and the Brain Initiative. And I'm going to read this to you. The White House announced the Brain Initiative in April 2013. Today, the initiative is supported by several federal agencies, as well as dozens of technology firms, academic institutions, scientists, and other key contributors to the field of neuroscience. DARPA is supporting the Brain Initiative through a number of programs, continuing a legacy of DARPA investment in neurotechnology that extends back to the 1970s. That's 50 years ago, folks. Is it clicking now? An article in our 60th anniversary magazine provides an overview of the agency's recent research aimed at expanding the frontiers of the field and enabling powerful new capabilities. So I'm going to read off the titles of these various pursuits that they are doing through the DARPA Brain Initiative. And then I'll read what is actually going on in those particular fields. So the first one is electrical prescriptions, which they have acronymed as ElectRx. Work begins to support self-healing of the body and mind. Electrics has the nerve to envision revolutionary therapies for self-healing. President Obama highlights new DARPA program aimed at developing novel therapies customized to individual patients. Move on to the next one. Hand proprioception and touch interfaces. This is haptics. Okay, that's the acronym, haptics. And some of you have heard that before, but what that actually is I'm going to stop share and show you. Okay, when you touch your phone and it reacts back, that's haptics. It's in the phone. So what they've managed to do is take that technology and use it elsewhere, which I'm fixing to show you. Okay, haptics. Neuroscience of touch sensors. Touch supports improved robotic and prosthetic interfaces. Haptics starts work to provide prosthetic hands with sense of touch. By restoring sense of touch to amputees, Haptics seeks to overcome physical and psychological effects of upper limb loss. I have a hard time with the glare reading that light blue. All right, the next one. Neuroengineering System Design. They call that NESD, N-E-S-D. And under that we have towards a high-resolution implantable neural interface. Bridging the bioelectronic divide. I tell you what, I didn't click on this one, but let's see what an implantable neural interface looks like. This is from July 10th, 2017. Towards a high-resolution implantable neural interface. Neuroengineering system design program sets out to expand neurotechnology capabilities and provide a foundation for future treatments of sensory deficits. DARPA has awarded contracts to 5 research organizations and 1 company that will support the neural engineering system design program. Brown University, Columbia University, Foundation Voir et Entendre, the Seeing and Hearing Foundation, the John B. Pierce Laboratory, Paradromics Incorporated, and the University of California at Berkeley. These organizations have formed teams to develop the fundamental research and component technologies required to pursue the NESD vision of a high-resolution neural interface and integrate them to create and demonstrate working systems able to support potential future therapies for sensory restoration. 4 of the teams will focus on vision, and 2 will focus on aspects of hearing and speech. So, let me keep going. In 2016, with the goal of developing an implantable system able to provide precision communication between the brain and the digital world. Such an interface would convert the electrochemical signaling used by neurons in the brain into the ones and zeros that constitute the language of information technology, and to do so at a far greater scale than is currently possible. The work has the potential to significantly advance scientists' understanding of the neural underpinnings of vision, hearing, and speech, and could eventually lead to new treatments for people living with sensory deficits. And I'm not going to go into anything else because I'd like to keep this video on YouTube. I might do one for BitChute. I'll tag it on to the end. The NES program looks ahead to a future in which advanced neural devices offer improved fidelity, resolution, and precision sensory interface for therapeutic applications, said Philip Alvelda, the founding NES program manager. By increasing the capacity of advanced neural interfaces to engage more than 1 million neurons in parallel, NESD aims to enable rich, two-way communication with the brain at a scale that will help deepen our understanding of that organ's underlying biology, complexity, and function. Although the goal of communicating with 1 million neurons sounds lofty, Alvelda noted, a million neurons represents a minuscule percentage of the 86 billion neurons in the human brain. Its deeper complexities are going to remain a mystery for some time to come. But if we were successful in delivering rich sensory signals directly to the brain, NESD will lay a broad foundation for new neurological therapies. Okay, let's get back to that. This goes on and on and on. You're more than welcome to come back and read this. But for time constraints, because I know this video is going to be lengthy, most of you won't sit through it all or even just do something else and listen to it. I want to just, break you off and show you some of the things that are going on. Okay. So let's get back to our list. Well, that was a detour. All right, the next on the list is neurofunction, activity, structure, and technology, NeuroFast. Okay, let me read you what that is. The NeuroFast program seeks to enable unprecedented visualization and decoding of brain activity to better characterize and mitigate threats to the human brain, as well as facilitate development of brain-in-the-loop systems to accelerate and improve functional behaviors. The program has developed Clarity, which is an acronym, a revolutionary tissue preservation method, and builds off recent discoveries in genetics, optical recordings, and brain-computer interfaces. And I'll get to that in a minute. Okay. All right. So, under the Neurofast, researchers identify conductor of brain's neural orchestra and begin to decode the score. Advanced Clarity, the acronym, method offers faster, better views of the entire brain. Next up in the queue is next generation non-surgical neurotechnology, which they call N to the third power, or N3. I'm going to read you what that is. The N3 program aims to develop a safe, portable neural interface system capable of reading from and writing to multiple points in the brain at once. Whereas the most advanced existing neurotechnology requires surgical implantation of electrodes, N3 is pursuing a high-resolution technology that works without the requirement for surgery so that it can be used by able-bodied people. And 6 paths to the non-surgical future of brain-machine interfaces. Next, non-surgical neural interfaces could significantly expand the use of neurotechnology. And next in the queue is reliable neural interface technology, ReNet. Okay, and ReNet is a program that seeks to develop the technologies needed to reliably extract information from the nervous system, and to do so at a scale and rate necessary to control complex machines such as high-performance prosthetic limbs. And under that, we have the subtopics. Minimally invasive stentrode shows potential as neural interface for the brain. Atom-width graphene sensors could provide unprecedented insights into the brain structure and function. Now I want you to see what this is right here, right here. Atom width. Is that not pico technology? Okay, and we're going to touch on this right here in a second. That's coming after this. New nerve and muscle interfaces aid wounded warrior amputees. If you guys watch James Rink on Super Soldier Talk, you kind of get all this. All right, the next heading is restoring active memory, or the acronym RAM, which may be confused with random access memory, as in your computer. All right, so here's what the RAM is. The RAM program aims to develop and test a wireless, fully implantable neural interface medical device for human clinical use. The device would facilitate the formation of new memories and retrieval of existing ones in individuals who have lost these capacities as a result of traumatic brain injury or neurological disease. Subtopics: progress in quest to develop a human memory prosthesis. That sounds like Total Recall. Remember that? Remember that Schwarzenegger movie? And then the one that came after the remake. Targeted electrical stimulation of the brain shows promise as a memory aid. Restoring active memory program poised to launch. All right, next one. Restoring active memory replay. RAM replay. God, I wish I could make this stuff up. Here's what that is. The RAM replay program will investigate the role of neural replay in the formation and recall of memory. and with the goal of helping individuals better remember specific episodic events and learn skills. The program aims to develop novel and rigorous computational methods to help investigators determine not only which brain components matter in memory, formation, and recall, but also how much they matter, like brain matter. That was a pun. Yeah, I didn't do that. So the subtopic is DARPA aims to accelerate memory function for skill learning. Build back better. All right, the next topic is revolutionizing prosthetics. The Revolutionizing Prosthetics program aims to continue increasing functionality of DARPA-developed arm systems to benefit service members and others who have lost upper limbs. The dexterous hand capabilities developed under the program have already been applied to small robotic systems used to manipulate unexploded ordnance, reducing the risk of limb loss among soldiers. And the subtopics are DARPA helps paralyzed man feel again using a brain controlled robotic arm. I guess that arm had haptics in it, right? Next is neurotechnology provides near natural sense of touch. Next is from idea to market in 8 years. DARPA funded DECA, DEKA, arm system earns FDA approval. From idea to market in 8 years. Maybe they Corsoed it. The next topic or heading is systems-based neurotechnology for emerging therapies, which are called subnets. Man, I can't make this stuff up. Man, they're good. The subnets program seeks to create implanted, closed-loop diagnostic and therapeutic systems for treating neuropsychological illnesses. The subtopics are breakthroughs inspire hope for treating intractable mood disorders. Journey of discovery starts toward understanding and treating networks of the brain. Subnets aim for systems-based neurotechnology and understanding for the treatment of neuropsychological illnesses. And last but not least, we have targeted neuroplasticity training, or TNT. I told y'all guys I can't make this up. The TNT program seeks to advance the pace and effectiveness of cognitive skills training through the precise activation of peripheral nerves that can in turn promote and strengthen neuronal connections in the brain. TNT will pursue development of a platform technology to enhance learning of a wide range of cognitive skills with the goal of reducing the cost and duration of the Defense Department's extensive training regime while improving outcomes. And the subtopics under TNT researchers set out to advance pace and effectiveness of cognitive skills training, boosting synaptic plasticity to accelerate learning. And there, friends, we have everything in the DARPA website regarding DARPA and the Brain Initiative. And if I wouldn't have shown y'all that, and I would just been doing that off the fly, yeah, y'all been fearless. Come on, man. Jesus, what do you take us for? Right? I mean, just listening to it, okay, kids. Let me move on. I mean, I can't make this stuff up. It's crazy. It's freaking crazy. Okay, here we go. Now, I told you I was going to tell you about that, about the Pico technology, right? That they were talking about. That atom. Well, here we go. We're back in DARPA. Atom with graphene sensors could provide unprecedented insights into brain structure and function. New technology funded by DARPA's RENET program enables monitoring and stimulation of neurons using optical and electronic methods simultaneously. Okay. Okay. Now pay attention to this, because all this right here, I'm going to get in that in a minute. But here's what it looks like. And obviously, if this is on the atomic level, that's an atom width. Okay. So if that's the width of it, or maybe that's the width of it, doesn't matter. It's tiny. So we're going to read what it is. Understanding the anatomical structure and function of the brain is a longstanding goal in neuroscience and a top priority of President Obama's Brain Initiative. Electrical monitoring and stimulation of neuronal signaling is a mainstay technique for studying brain function, while emerging optical techniques, which use photons instead of electrons, are opening new opportunities for visualizing neural network structure and exploring brain functions. Electrical and optical techniques offer distinct and complementary advantage that, if used together, could offer profound benefits for studying the brain at high resolution. Combining these technologies is challenging, however, because conventional metal electrode technologies are too thick to be transparent to light, making them incompatible with many optical approaches. To help overcome these challenges, DARPA has created a proof of concept tool that demonstrates much smaller transparent contacts that can measure and stimulate neural tissue using electrical and optical methods at the same time. Researchers at the University of Wisconsin at Madison developed the new technology with support from DARPA's Reliable Neural Interface Technology, the ReNet program. It is described in detail in a paper in Nature Communications. This technology demonstrates potential breakthrough capabilities for visualizing and quantifying neural network activity in the brain, said Doug Weber, DARPA program manager. The ability to simultaneously measure electrical activity on a large and fast scale with direct visualization and modulation of neural network anatomy could provide unprecedented insight into relationships between brain structure and function, and importantly, how these relationships, evolve over time or are perturbed by injury or disease. The new device uses graphene, a recently discovered form of carbon, on a flexible plastic backing that conforms to the shape of tissue. The graphene sensors are electrically conductive, but only 4 atoms thick. Okay? Nanotechnology, Pico technology, Femto Technology. 4 atoms thick. So that's beneath nanotechnology. Okay? That's on the pico scale. So they've already been using nanotechnology in the prior to 2018. That's documented, that I documented in my previous videos. Okay? Less than 1 nanometer and hundreds of times thinner than current contacts. Its extreme thinness enables nearly all light to pass through across a wide range of wavelengths. Moreover, graphene is non-toxic to biological systems, an improvement over previous research into transparent electrical contacts that are much thicker, rigid, difficult to manufacture, and reliant on potentially toxic metal alloys. Okay, and this is from October 20th, 2014. That was 8 years ago, kids. Now, if you know anything about computing, especially chips, and how fast the technology grows, because every year it doubles in speed, doubles in capacity. So just do the math. Where we were in 2014, okay, we obviously had these. So imagine if you had one of these and every year it got twice as fast, it'd be 16 times faster or 16 times better, right? Okay. All right, next in the queue, I want to show you that. Remember, atom width. Let me atom width graphene sensors. Okay, so it's 4 atoms thick, right? Where's that at? Right there, 4 atoms thick. Okay, so next up in the queue. This is from phys.org. You'd never think I was such a nerd, huh? I find it kind of interesting and appalling at the same time myself. 'Cause I don't know. I don't know where it came from. I don't know why. I'm just so interested in this. I'm just curious. Intellectual curiosity is just killing me. But anyway, you see they have a tab for nanotechnology, and you can go over here and you can pull up more stuff. Chemists use DNA to build the world's tiniest antenna, and this is from the University of Montreal. And this published January 10th, 2022. Okay, so this is fresh. It's less than 2 weeks old, and they're just now releasing it to the public to let us know that, hey, this is what's out there, kids. All right, so let's find out what this is all about. Researchers at Université de Montréal have created a nano antenna to monitor the motions of proteins. Reported this week in Nature Methods, the device is a new method to monitor the structural change of proteins over time and may go a long way in helping scientists better understand natural and human-designed nanotechnologies. The results are so exciting that we are currently working on setting up a startup company to commercialize and make this nano antenna available to most researchers and the pharmaceutical industry, said Université de Montréal chemistry professor Alexis Vallier Belis. Belisel? I hope I got that right. I'm just going to call him Alexis, okay? The study's senior author, okay? An antenna that works like a two-way radio. Over 40 years ago, wink, wink, researchers invented the first DNA synthesizer to create molecules that encode genetic information. In recent years, chemists have realized that DNA can also be employed to build a variety of nanostructures and nanomachines, added the researcher, who also holds the Canada Research Chair in Bioengineering and Bio-Nanotechnology. Inspired by the Lego-like properties of DNA with building blocks that are typically 20,000 times smaller than a human hair. Did you get that? A human hair, 20,000 times smaller than a human hair. So that's nanotechnology. And already we know that they're working on the atomic level with that graphene chip that we just looked at. How small is that? Well, let me show you something. So, let me keep reading. We have created a DNA-based fluorescent nano antenna that can help characterize the function of proteins. Sorry. Like a two-way radio that can both receive and transmit radio waves, the fluorescent nano antenna receives light in one color or wavelength, and depending on the protein movement it senses, then transmits the light back in another color, which we can detect. One of the main innovations of these nano antennae is that the receiver part of the antenna is also employed to sense the molecular surface of the protein studied via molecular interaction. One of the main advantages of using DNA to engineer these nano antennas is that DNA chemistry is relatively simple and programmable, said Scott Heraun, an University of Montreal doctoral student in chemistry and the study's first author. The DNA-based nano antennas can be synthesized with different lengths and flexibilities to optimize their function, he said. One can easily attach a fluorescent molecule to the DNA and then attach this fluorescent nano antenna to a biological nano machine, such as an enzyme. By carefully tuning the nano antenna design, we have created 5 nanometer long antenna that produces a distinct signal when the protein is performing its biological function. Fluorescent nano antenna open many exciting avenues in biochemistry and nanotechnology, scientists believe. For example, we were able to detect in real time and for the first time, in real time, kids, and for the first time, the function of the enzyme alkaline phosphatase with a variety of biological molecules and drugs, said Heraun. This enzyme has been implicated in many diseases, including various cancers and intestinal inflammation. In addition to helping us understand how natural nanomachines function or malfunction, consequently leading to disease, this new method can also help chemists identify promising new drugs, as well as guide nanoengineers to develop improved nanomachines, added Dominique Lauzon, co-author of the study, doing his PhD in chemistry at the Université de Montréal. One main advance enabled by these nanoantennas is also their ease of use, scientists said. Perhaps we are most excited by is the realization, well, perhaps what we are most excited by is the realization that many labs around the world equipped with a conventional spectrophotometer could readily employ these nanoantennas to study their favorite protein, such as to identify new drugs or develop new nanotechnologies, said Alexis. And that would be the end of it. But, it has related stories. Novel thermoelectric nano antenna design for use in solar energy harvesting. Chemists use DNA to build the world's tiniest thermometer. Nano antenna lightning rod effect produces fast optical switches. Researchers developing new framework for non-antenna light absorption. Hybrid nanoantenna designed to manipulate visible light. Researchers invent light-emitting nanoantennas. You can see it glowing right there. Okay. And this is some more stuff they have. All right. Telling you, kids, it's a creepy world out there. Okay, here we go. I'm going to stop share because I don't know if that's sharing. All right. This is again from Phys.org. Tracking quantum phenomena in 2D graphene. So that's two-dimensional graphene. And this is from Rajini Raghunath. I hope I pronounced that right, Rajini. This is the Indian Institute of Science, and this is January 21st, 2022, which was 2 days ago. Hot off the presses, baby. Okay, so let's find out what this is. In recent years, a phenomenon called the quantum Hall effect has emerged as a platform for hosting exotic features called quasi-particles, with properties that could lead to exciting applications in areas like quantum computing. When a strong magnetic field is applied to a 2D material or gas, the electrons at the interface, unlike the ones within the bulk, are free to move along the edges in what are called edge modes or channels. Somewhat similar to highway lanes, this edge movement, which is the essence of the quantum Hall effect can lead to many interesting properties depending on the material and conditions. For conventional electrons, which are our synapses are, right? The current flow only in one direction dictated by the magnetic field downstream. However, physicists have predicted that some materials can have counterpropagating channels where some quasi-particles can also travel in the opposite upstream direction. Although these upstream channels are of great interest to scientists because they can host a variety of new kinds of quasi-particles, they have been extremely difficult to identify because they do not carry any electrical current. In a new study, researchers from the Indian Institute of Science and international collaborators provide smoking gun evidence for the presence of upstream modes along with which certain neural quasi-particles move in two-layered graphene. To detect these modes or channels, the team used a novel method employing electrical noise fluctuations in the output signal caused by heat dissipation. That wouldn't be like nano antennas, would it? Okay, and this is more. I mean, I can read and read and read and read and read, but let me see what I got next in the queue. Okay, well, that's all I got for the queue. So, um, you know, who's to say what's in that? Okay, because that little protrusion right there, the inside diameter of that is definitely larger than a nanometer. So if you put a bunch of picobots and femtobots in here, like trillions, quadrillions, quintillions, do you think they could pass through here? And that through all the videos that I've just showed you, do you think they could like self-replicate and go places and form something somewhere and then take over on a molecular, atomic, and subatomic level and effectuate those neurons? And then one day something happens. And then I don't know what's going to happen. I can guess. Or this, let's just look at this. This is the CDC's website. This is the Crisis Emergency Risk Communication, or CERC for an acronym, corner. Uh, Archive. This page is no longer being updated. This information is for historic and reference purposes only. Content has not been updated since the last review date at the bottom of this page. Page last reviewed May 9th, 2018. Content source, Center for Preparedness and Response, CPR. So it's not very long. So let's just read what the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, which 24/7 saving lives, protecting people. That's trademark. So I'm not using it for profit. All right. Here we go. Because they are supposed to be saving lives, I'm just going to help spread the word, right? All right, here we go. Actually, let me get a sip of this. Okay. The anchor tweet was simple. Quote, prepared for a at zombie apocalypse question mark. If so, you're prepared for any emergency. Learn how CDC PH Matters blog, unquote. It went viral within 10 minutes. On just the first day, the tweet, blog, and webpage had 200 million impressions. After a week, that number reached 3.3 billion, which is just under a third of the world's population, by the way. More importantly, people engaged in preparedness discussions on social media and traffic to CDC's emergency preparedness page, increased 1,143% compared to the same date the previous year. It was unconventional for a science-based organization to do something tongue-in-cheek. So what inspired this approach? Catherine Jamal, who led the project, calls it, quote, social media listening, unquote. For 1 week, she and her team posted basic emergency preparedness facts on CDC's emergency preparedness Twitter feed. Then they asked, quote, what are you preparing for, unquote. And to their surprise, Jamal and her team noticed a trend in people listing the usual suspects: natural disasters, disease outbreaks, terror events, and a zombie apocalypse. Crisis and emergency risk communication is not just about feeding the public what you want to tell them, it's also about listening to what they want to hear. Watching social media trends and engaging with your audience can help drive them to the important information you're trying to communicate. CDC's 2011 blog on Preparedness 101, Zombie Apocalypse, and the zombie preparedness campaign that followed brought readers to the CDC's emergency preparedness page at a time when the page was not getting a lot of traffic, despite the valuable guidance included on how to prepare for any emergency. Humor would not normally be appropriate during emergency, but per the CERC rhythms preparedness phase, effective emergencies start with good planning. In this case, our communication team realized that people were more interested in preparing for real life emergencies if it also meant that they'd be ready for a future, imaginary in parentheses, zombie scare. So in 2011, on a blog on the CDC website, they had Preparedness 101 Zombie Apocalypse. So let's just go see what that looks like because I wasn't around when that came out. Oh, oops. We can't seem to find the page you're looking for. Okay. Let me go back and we're gonna copy and paste it. And we're gonna see if that works. Okay. Paste and search. Paste and search. And nothing's happening. And I keep getting the same thing. Oops. 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 Really? Oops. Okay. Well, let's take this a step further. I'm gonna stop share and all right, right here. Preparedness 101 Zombie Apocalypse bt.cdc.gov. Social media forward slash social media forward slash zombies dot ASAP. Preparedness 101 Zombie Apocalypse is a blog posted by the United States Center for Disease Control and Prevention that uses a zombie apocalypse to raise public awareness of emergency preparedness. In a blog post titled Preparedness of 101 Zombie Apocalypse, the director of the CDC's Office of Public Health Preparedness response. Rear Admiral. Okay. Let's see. And we'll click on it, see where it takes me. Oh, the site can't be reached. Really? I guess that's another oops. Uh, well, we're just going to go down the list here. I don't know if this is it. That didn't tell me much. And okay, here we go. Right here. Note, this is an actual blog post from the Centers for Disease Control. The government servers are currently being slammed, as is typical during a zombie apocalypse. We are linking to and providing a cached version of the story due to the dire need for public awareness of zombie survival preparedness. And this is from thezombieapocalypse.com. All right, ready? There are all kinds of emergencies out there that we can prepare for. Take a zombie apocalypse, for example. That's right, I said zombie apocalypse. You may laugh now, but when it happens, you'll be happy you read this. And hey, maybe you'll even learn a thing or two about how to prepare for a real emergency. A brief history of zombies. We've all seen at least one movie about flesh-eating zombies taking over. My personal favorite was Resident Evil. But where do zombies come from? And why do they love eating brains so much? The word zombie comes from Haitian and New Orleans voodoo origins. Although its meaning has changed slightly over the years, it refers to a human corpse mysteriously reanimated to serve the undead. Through ancient voodoo and folklore traditions, shows like The Walking Dead were born. In movies, shows, and literature, zombies are often depicted as being created by an infectious virus, which is passed on via bites and contact with bodily fluids. Harvard psychiatrist Stephen Schoolman wrote a fictional medical paper on the zombies presented in Night of the Living Dead and refers to the condition as ataxic neurodegenerative satiety deficiency syndrome caused by an infectious agent. The Zombie Survival Guide identifies the cause of zombies as a virus called solanum. Other zombie origins shown in films include radiation from a destroyed NASA Venus probe, as in Night of the Living Dead, as well as mutations of existing conditions such as prions, mad cow disease, measles, and rabies. And for those of you who don't know what prions are, that would be chronic wasting disease that has inhabited the venison or um, deer, elk, that type of animal. Prions are really um, strange because they are discharged in the urine of an infected animal, and wherever that urine lands, if it goes onto a clover patch, well, those clovers suck up those prions, and now the prions live in the clover. So next time a deer comes across there and eats that clover, now that deer becomes infected with the prions and gets chronic wasting disease, which is like mad cow disease only for deer. And basically, what it does is cause a spongiform encephalitis in the brain, and that's similar to Alzheimer's disease where your brain starts turning into Swiss cheese or a sponge, all these little hollow places, and that's when your memory and your thoughts and your rationale, all that starts to deteriorate because your brain is more or less dissolving um, in a into a matter that has holes in it, and the holes grow larger and larger as time progresses. The rise of zombies in pop culture has given credence to the idea that a zombie apocalypse could happen. In such a scenario, zombies would take over entire countries, roaming city streets, eating anything living that got in their way. The proliferation of this idea has led many people to wonder, how do I prepare for a zombie apocalypse? Well, we're here to answer that question for you and hopefully share a few tips about preparing for real emergencies too. Um, so, what do you need before zombies, hurricanes, or pandemics, for example, actually happen? First of all, you should have an emergency kit in your house. This includes things like water, food, and other supplies to get you through the first couple days before you can locate a zombie free refugee camp. Or, in the event of a natural disaster, it will buy you some time until you're able to make your way to an evacuation shelter or utility lines are stored. Below are a few items you should include in your kit. For a full list, see CDC emergency page. Water, food, medications, tools and supplies, sanitation, hygiene, clothing and bedding, important documents, first aid supplies, and Fearless Floyd is going to recommend a very sharp machete to cut the heads off the zombies, ammunition, and weapons, firearms. That's just my own suggestion. If y'all want to use a pitchfork, a shovel, whatever. But yeah, I don't know why they don't have that on there. And then it goes on and on and on and on and on. Just tongue in cheek. Pick a meeting place for your family to regroup in case zombies invade your home. Okay. Uh, If zombies did start roaming the streets, CDC would conduct an investigation much like other disease outbreak. CDC would provide technical assistance to cities, states, or international partners dealing with zombie infestation. First, they would have a mask mandate, and you'd have to wear a mask everywhere so you wouldn't inhale the virus, so you wouldn't turn into a zombie, so you wouldn't be roaming the streets seeking brains. Brains. I'm totally kidding. It doesn't say anything about masks. I know. That was good, huh? Yeah, I caught you with your pants down. I did. And I don't think I've said like not one cuss word through this whole video. I am doing so good. So now that we've seen the zombie apocalypse and, what could happen, let me get my my visual aids cards out, uh, you know, and, this is what could happen. Okay? Are you ready? And don't criticize me for my artwork. So if that happens, that could be the result. Just saying. Thank you for watching. You can always reach me at TheFearlessFloydShow@yahoo.com. Leave a comment below. Tell me if you liked the video and tell me if you have made it to the end of this video because I know it's very lengthy, but it's packed full of good information that you may need in the future because those technologies are out there just waiting for us to come get them and use, right? That don't exist. So hit that like button so I know you liked this video. I hope it entertained you. If I did anything else, I hope I did that. Subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell, share the video with anybody you like. I can't make you. Hit that like button, okay? Because that sends an algorithm out. So the people with eyes to see, ears to hear, and are enlightened, they'll catch on and they'll see this and they can share it. And that way we grow as a community of enlightened beings ascending to a higher dimension. Okay, because that's what it's all about. Thank you for watching my video. I know it's lengthy. I apologize for it, but you know what? I give myself 2 thumbs up because I didn't have to say 1 cuss word. And I hope all you out there that watch my videos and subscribe to my channel, I didn't offend anybody. And this is rated for kids. And with that, thanks, kids. I will see you on the next video. And thanks for hanging in there with me. Peace.